Well, let's get down to the writing in Brixton itself. I just want to say to the people, if there's some out there and they're watching this video, and some people might take feedback off of this as well. Remember when the Bradford riots? Remember the Bradford riots? Well, once the police caught up with them, yeah, people were moaning about the sentences they were given. Yeah, they're saying they were quite lengthy sentences the judge gave them. Yeah,
They'll be saying they'll be racist by apprehending the people
yeah.
that are doing the criminal damage. That's where we're at, isn't
Don't
it?
be surprised. Don't be surprised that when the law catches up with you, right, that you're going to have lengthy sentences because they don't look at rioting. You know what I mean? They're quite strict on rioting. You know what I mean? So to play the racist card to say, you know what, we was rioting and we seem to have basically lengthy jail sentences, it ain't going to work because it's already happened in past history. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Them guys that done the Bradford riots, they were in the same situation and they had to do their bird as well at the same time. Yeah. Now, in any westernized country, hopefully I'm right on this, whether it's America, but America with its Second Amendment, with the gun laws and everything like that, is a bit different, right? These police officers know that when they approach people, I'm going to say they've got markers against them. Yeah. So if you've got a criminal record, you know what I mean, or they know you by face or something like that, and your life revolves around the crime scene, yeah, in a way they've already got past history of you and so on. And if you do kind of show signs of violence or anything like that, do you know what I mean? They've got to kind of protect themselves as well. So sometimes you might think that they're going in hard, but what I don't understand about America itself, right, is when obviously, and I'm not saying all of them are right. Let's get this right. So I'm not
Oh, yeah.
saying some police officers that are a bit power crazy behind the badge or the law and everything like that. But what I'm disappointed in is the amount of struggles when, you know, the coppers are going to put the cuffs on them or everything like that. Do you know what I mean? They, you know, they seem to be wanting to get away. Do you know what I mean? And there's a struggle and everything like that and so on.
Yeah.
Now, what we got to understand is because it's America, that officer's got a gun. Yeah. Once the struggle starts, yeah, is that officer thinking to himself, am I going to be overpowered here? Is he going to grab my pistol? Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of an escalating thing, obviously, with making dynamic decisions. Do you know what I mean?
Of
Yes, I'm
course.
disappointed. Yes, I'm disappointed in some of the dynamic decisions that police officers make, whether it be here or in America. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to shoot somebody, do you know what? Shoot them in the leg. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, let's look at it now. I mean, we've got a situation here now. I would want to be a policeman in this
Yeah.
situation
Oh yeah.
because approaching anybody now, I had to remonstrate with some kids the other week because they got in my way on a cycle path, and the level of disrespect they displayed to me as an individual, they didn't care that I was 50 years of age. Now, when I was growing up, if I'd have done exactly the same thing, I'd have got beat down from my mother, from the local man or the local Bobby walking the street. And if I'd have gone to my mother and said, the policeman's just tapped me
Yeah.
round the head for being cheeky to him, she would have tapped me round the head also. So there's an element of feral behaviour here. So as a policeman, even if I've got a gun and a badge, they've still got restrictions. They
Yeah.
still can't manhandle. They still can't do this. They still can't do that. And yet, all they've got is the powers of observation. So I look at it and I think most of the kids of today look like they're ghettoized anyway. As in,
Yeah.
you look at the average white kid that will knock about in a gang, they're acting more black than some black individuals. Just like you'll get some black kids that tend to do that, and they'll stereotype themselves with elements of clothes that they wear, with the elements of the language that they use, or the lack of eloquence that they use. So they
Yeah.
don't get it that if a policeman is confronted in a situation where he has to deal with it, that then becomes a transaction between two people. So if they handle their side of the transaction inadequately, that guy's got no other option but to think that this guy's got an attitude, and now I'm going to have to ramp it up a little bit. So then you cannot then go, well, this guy's racist. No, if you were acting in a normal civil manner at that point, then even if you were displeased that you were pulled up, there's still a way of being. And then if he chooses then to go above and beyond, then he's the one in the wrong. But like you say, it's he's about to put cuffs on you. Let him put cuffs on. If that's what he's going to do, it'll sort itself out in jail or in the police station if it turns out. But if you then start to act in a way that makes him want to tighten the cuffs or restrain you more, it gets worse and it escalates and it escalates. So I'm not saying the they're not to blame for any of this. It's a two-way transaction.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be a policeman having to do that job right now, particularly going into a predominantly black area where it's toxified now.
Not right now, because I'm telling you something, a policeman's job, at the end of the day, they just want to go home. They want to go home safely at the end of the day. And if you get pulled over by an officer and you're clean, license straight, everything is okay, why argue? Why get into a situation, make a situation worse and battle with the officer see, now that's what the narrative is. I can do what I want to do. If you touch me, if you handle me a certain way, feeling entitled, feel empowered that I can get away with this. So I can talk to you the way I've been wanting to talk to you. So now I can do it because I have backup. And that's not the way to do it, and I'm gonna tell you another thing. Right now, they're going to distract us really soon. You got the Hillary Clinton case coming up in September. You got the vets coming up. You have the officers that's still on trial. That's going to be going on trial for all these situations that's going on. So it's not going to be over. People are still going to react emotionally depending on the outcome.
Yeah.
So like I say, it's going to have to, and everyone thinks it's going to stop around the elections. No. It is not until individuals, citizens, I'm gonna bring it all the way back, you guys. We look at individuals like Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Malcolm X. Those individuals were citizens. They wasn't senators and governors and presidents and things of that nature. They were citizens who took a stand to make a change in their community, and that's what it's going to take. It's going to take us as a people to do that. We depend on politicians and governments now to make that change. But no, we gonna have to do it, and until we do it, it's gonna stay the way it is.
Mark, sorry, I've got Nak. I'll let you jump in a sec, but I've got to follow this thought process through.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you feel about victimhood, Mark? Do you feel a lot of this is down to as in you can have? I'm sure you've heard of this term, plantation of the mind. Whereas you can feel within your own mind that the world is against you. Do you reckon there's an element of that in terms of the way some black people are treating this argument?
Yes, because I walked in a store before, and it was an all-white store, and I felt like there was people were looking at me funny, but it was already in my head. I had already perceived that as they were doing it, but they weren't. And we go in with the thought process of, hey, this is what this is going to be. And it's going to be that way because you thinking, until we change the way we think and actually go in with an open mind and see things objectively, and we're going to stay in that plantation mind frame.
No, I get you. I'll personally tell you, I know the two different feelings within my heart, like you will, Mark, and probably you, Nak. You can go in with that baggage and feel that people are looking at you, people don't want to upset you. That is a horrible feeling, and that draws a certain energy from you, a certain paranoia about you. Yet you walk into that store where you feel you are on a level pegging with anyone. You feel you engage people on a level footing. Boom.
Yes.
It's a totally different feeling, a different vibe. You no longer feel that you're being got at. You actually feel a part of this society. So then the way I contribute to society is by being the best person I can be with that individual that I am interacting with at that moment in time. And honestly, mate, the amount of times that I will talk to strangers only for the shortest amount of time, but we'll both come away smiling with that little engagement. And it's all because there was no baggage of the mind there. You know what I mean? Nak, I mean, what do you want to see at this point, mate?
Yeah, you're right in what you're saying, and that's the way exactly how I look about it. Look, there's barriers to be broken. Yeah, you can do it. Okay, so we're all talking about that. You know, sometimes we get that sense of feeling. I mean, look at me now. I never had all this. Do you know what I mean? Growing my hair, beard, and everything like that. And in the time I kind of grew up, the music was different within itself. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's the constant bashing that, let me just say it, you're black and you're ill treated. Do you know what I mean? People, everyone, the police are against you. Everyone's against you. They've got that in their minds. I know loads of people. No matter what they say, they have got. I suppose it's a bit of a downgrading in a way how they feel. But
Hmm.
if you walk into a shop or whatever, a club or anything like that, do you know what I mean? This is what it's about. You might feel to yourself, you know, that person, he might have a bit of a slight chip on his shoulder. Do you know what I mean? But once you kind of have a chat with them and they think, you can feel it sometimes. I can feel it within myself. You know what? They think, you know what? This geezer's all right. This lad's all right. Do you know what I mean? And then you have that bit of a banter, but you always walk away, as you stated, with that joke, with that smile. You know what I mean? Now I'm going to tell you a story here, and it might kind of go on a bit, but I'm going to tell it. Yeah, yeah. So some skinheads will say to me they were never racist. Yeah, I know for a fact that some of the skinheads I met. Do you know what I mean? Either you got to just hold your ground, or either you got to run. Do you know what I mean? But when I was in the forces and I was going through my basic training, for some reason I was always kind of getting it in the neck. Do you know what I mean? So when we was obviously doing PE, so you know, in the gym, etc., and everything like that, the PTI used to come up to me, tap my back, and basically say, you know, Sing's not working hard enough. Yeah, because I never used to sweat that much at that age. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't a lot to me anyway at that age. You know, like 17 I was. Anyway, so everyone had to take what they call a beasting. Do you know what I mean? Okay, Sing's not doing enough here. Everybody down. Do you know what I mean? 20 press ups, star jumps, etc., and so on until he was happy, you know, and then kind of we went back to our house blocks and so on. But I was obviously kind of at that time, one time was buffing the floor, and it was basically manual buffers with polish on the floor, and I was buffing it. And someone already told me about the guy in the next room called Womble, yeah, who was a big, big boned skinhead. He's already someone's already kind of said to me, you know what, he's past his skinhead. You've got to watch him, yeah. So I'm buffing this floor. You know what I mean? That room door opens, yeah. He walks out of it, and I thought, oh, here we go. Do you know what I mean? Finding his time. He knows I'm buffing the floor. He's going to do something now, etc. Because everyone's kind of taking a beasting for me. But lo and behold, he kind of put his foot in front of the buffing mop, and he kind of hit hit his kind of mop thing, hit his foot, yeah. And the next thing, he's put his hand out to me, and I'm thinking to myself, shall I take his hand, or is he going to wallop me one? You know what I mean? So I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. Put my hand out, and he shook my hand. He shook my hand, and I looked at him, and he went, you know what, mate? He goes, Singy, I was a skinhead in my time. Do you know what I mean? And I had no time for kind of, you know, he used the word. We know what word he used. Do you know what I mean? And he goes, but I'm going to give you the utmost respect. You know why I'm going to give you the utmost respect? Because you earn it. No matter what they throw at you, yeah, they ain't going to break you. You know what I mean? And that's what it's about. You know what I mean? And this is what I keep telling people. You've got to persevere. Do you know what I mean? How you can influence people Do you know what I mean? When they talk between each other, whether they're in their own communities, you know what I mean? If someone can stand up and say, you know what, not everyone's the same, you know what, we're moving forward, we're all human beings. It's about humanity at the end of the day, you know what I mean? And making positive impact. But by segregation, there is no positive impact. It's negative, isn't it? Do you know
Of
what
course,
I mean?
it's only creating
And
animosity on the other
yeah,
side.
I
and
want to say one thing before I got to run.
yeah,
It's going to, before it was in the U.S., it was, reverends and, more of a religious movement, the religious figures. Now they use rappers and ball players and, like say force football in the NFL. And
yeah,
until we stand up and say, hey, you know what? You guys sending a bad message to these individuals, because right now the NBA has
yeah,
Black Lives Matter on the floor, on the basketball court. They're putting Black Lives Matter on their shirts and things that just like you say your football team is. I look at Nickelodeon, the TV show. They have Black Lives Matter commercials. And until they keep promoting this through these sports, and that's a huge, sports is a huge influence. I don't think people realize how much of an influence sports is, and until we hold these individuals accountable to say, hey, you just don't want to ruin your reputation. It's about your reputation. It's not about, and your brand. It's not about what you really trying to do for your people. You trying to protect your brand. But like I say, they keep promoting Black Lives Matter. Their brand going to go down. But yeah, my YouTube, you guys, is V_Versa. I was doing it V Versa before, and I was like, why it ain't working? But it's V_Versa. Nat, Phil, hey, we got to do this again. Let me know when you're ready, and I will come on at any time. I love you guys. We're brothers, and let's make a difference.
Wow,
yeah.
indeed.
That,
I think this stream has made a big difference. Thank you for your time, Mark. We've not covered even a percentage of the points, but I appreciate your time is very expensive. So we'll have to roll it over. If you're saying you'd love to do another one, that satisfies me.
Oh, yes.
Brilliant. We'll have to make it for another week or so, a couple of weeks. And this time, maybe invite more members of the A team as well, Nak. We've got more time to plan it. We can have a real group chat with several of us, all on various subjects as well, mate. Doesn't have to be just Black Lives Matter, but obviously this is the passion that's got us all together. So, mate, thank you for your time. Keep up the good work, what you're doing there. And please, if you see this YouTube, please subscribe, follow this guy's work, because this guy has got it in his heart to try and do the right thing. You can see what is happening now is malicious, wrong, and it's certainly not a way to get the human race to work together. Mark, thank you very much for your time, sir.
Thank you.
thank you, Mark.
Have a good one.
Cheers, mate. Wow. Well, what did you think of that, Nak?
No, it's good, isn't it? It's good having someone like Mark from across the waters putting his points across. Do you know what I mean? Have we got a real picture over here in what media portrays and everything like that? Do you know what I mean? If you're going to keep listening to the same thing, switching on your computers, you know what I mean? We know how the way media works anyway. It's pretty left-sided in its contents anyway. Yeah, and to have Mark stating the things he's stating, you know what I mean? I hope he kind of wakes people up as well within itself. You know what I mean? So
Powerful.
that's how I feel. Yeah.
Powerful. I mean, for what it represents, mate. I mean, this is what I love about when you psychoanalyze people's positions and what they must have gone through in their, life, their journey. For what we didn't touch on, I do believe he's got mixed race children. So for me, I look at in the background, I think, okay, this is a black guy. May not have been brought up in a predominantly black area. I can't answer that, so I don't know. What I do know is that he's living in a predominantly white area now. And what I almost know is that he's living with a lady, which has meant that he's now got mixed race children. Whether he's married or not, I couldn't actually say. So that says that he's got so many different experiences there. He's seeing good and bad from all the different demographics, living within different areas. Now, to me, that gives you a better scope of life rather than just living in the one community and feeling that that one community's got all the problems, whilst that community over there of a different demographic has got just as many problems as you, but you don't see it because you're nestled in your own little community. So I think what his message is all about is probably more powerful than a lot because of the different ways that he's led his life and the different points and positions he's took him to, you know?
Yeah, well, this is it, ain't it? And this is what kind of makes us hold balanced views. Do you know what I mean? I don't think you can hold balanced views if you're just stuck in your own communities. How can you kind of make comments on other people? You can only kind of view something and say, you know, have that kind of mentality that this is what's really happening, this is how we are treated, etc. But with us, we kind of say this is the reality of it. Do you know what I mean? This is how you can break down barriers, etc., and so on. Do you know what I mean? But we know there's loads that goes on out there. Do you know what I mean? But is it all bad? No, it isn't. And this is what people are kind of like, they're not taking that on board, are they? They're pretty kind of negative about things and so on, yeah. And they're giving themselves complexes with it as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is how I feel. You know what I mean? You've got to be kind of, you've got to leap the hurdles and carry on with life, etc., and so on. Yeah, and life is kind of what you make of it as well. But if you're going to keep kind of listening to the negativity out there, if you're going to keep listening to music that is kind of, you couldn't really say it's revolves around that criminal element as well. Do you know what I mean? How kind of rappers have made lives for themselves, etc., and thug music, whatever they want to call it, and so on. And if a police officer approaches you, you're just going to look at him. You know what? He's bad to the core, bad to the core. You know what I mean? Where are we going to go? Because I don't want to debunk our police force. Do you know what I mean? What are you going to achieve by debunking a police force? So you're saying debunk the police force, right? And we're going to move on with our own kind of, what you're going to call them, say community wardens or something like that.
It's not even been
Even
thought through, Nat. It's just,
yeah,
I can come up with defund all the court systems,
yeah.
but what am I going to replace it with? And
Well,
then when the next person commits a crime, what's in place to deal with that person? So it's like, you can have dreams all you want, but I've not even seen one satisfactory solution that these guys are presenting as an equivalence to it. They just want the police out and on one knee while the bleeding going out the door.
well,
So
this is a major thing about America itself. Yeah, the extreme Black Lives Matter want to debunk obviously the police force, right? They want the underlying problem of black on black. Yeah. So you're saying you want to debunk the police force. You want obviously warden, community officers, or whatever you want to call it. But you know what? You're not even controlling your own communities at this moment in time. You're killing your own at this moment in time, and the children. What
that's
about?
where the danger is, Nak.
Yeah,
That's where
exactly.
the numbers of black people that are dying, it's through black people rather than through white
Yeah,
people. That is the true narrative, surely.
yeah, and exactly. And if you look at the statistics of what's happening, got that word out just
You got
about.
it in there, mate.
Yeah, but people don't want to even know about the figures that are coming out. Everyone's saying it's kind of whitewashed. Do you know what I mean? They ain't it ain't reality at this moment in time. But why is there um, African Americans that are quite patriotic? Do you know what I mean? Why are they speaking out? Obviously Mark's
Right.
one, and there's quite a few individuals out there. Do you know what I mean? If you've got a kind of a movement and it's genuine, 100%, yeah, you wouldn't have these guys speaking out against you. End
So
of.
what?
Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But
yeah.
the only way you can win that debate is by probably calling them Uncle Tom or something like that. You know what I mean? And
Because
this
they're
is
too powerful now.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
too powerful speaking out about it. Probably I'm too powerful speaking out about it because we're adamant in what we believe. We can lay the argument out. We're not irrational here.
yeah,
At the moment, unfortunately, the more Black Lives Matter projects their argument, it makes me look at the hypocrisy and the double standards within it even
yeah,
more so. And it makes me want to highlight that alongside their agenda to say, right, well, if you're going to talk about that, let's talk about that then. Don't be
yeah,
playing the high and mighty over here whilst you're doing something that's very hypocritical over there. And I would do that with any organization, but it's unfortunate, mate. But I tell you what, Nak, I have absolutely loved this. We'll definitely, the next time that we have Mark back, you'll have to for sure put some time aside, mate. Get you in on this. We'll have to get Tony and Joy,
yeah.
and hopefully some of the other A-teamers in on it as well. We can make it a right joint affair
Yeah,
because I'm
of
sure
course,
they'll all have questions for Mark as well. Is there any way people want to get in touch with you? Is there any way? Is there a Facebook page or anything that you're doing? I know what your answer's going to be, mate, but it's just something I generically say to people afterwards.
Yes, I mean the thing is if anybody wants it, I am on Facebook itself underneath the name of Gurnak Singh. That's where the Knack comes from, but it's abbreviated to Knack. But I've been called Knackers, Knacker, Knack. That's what it. But yeah, I haven't got no YouTube channel within itself. But nah, I don't really. Average guy, laid back. Yeah, obviously taking interest in what's happening out there. I don't want to make myself any type of platform. My point of contact is by all means yourself. Yeah, and that's how I feel about the situation at this moment in time. But it is kind of saddening that I do kind of see, and I keep mentioning this point that in the era that we've come through, yeah, definitely what we've come through, soul music, etc., and all that, we've kind of broke many barriers. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
And yeah, there's a lot of people that will kind of speak on our behalfs, no matter what religion they are, what color they are, etc. You know what I mean? And we have moved forward, but what I'm seeing now is very disheartening within itself. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sure you feel exactly the same way about
Can't
it.
agree more, mate.
You know what I
Can't
mean?
agree more.
Do,
You
you
said it so
know
well
what I
there.
mean? And all this kind of this music, I do feel that this music does has a lot of influence on our youth.
Not just
Yeah,
music, mate. It
yeah,
is the
yeah,
movies, the media
yeah,
itself is very much weaponizing
yeah,
young individuals. I
yeah,
mean, let's put it this way. Our generation played a massive part in showing that different demographics can work out their differences and come together and be
oh,
happy in many cases, which then helped race relations grow over a 20, 30-year period. Had problems on all sides and still have problems now, but generally, our generation played such a big part in that. Like
yeah,
you say, mate, what is massively sad now, this generation, because they're decadent, because they're politically illiterate, and they don't know when they're being manipulated, they're doing their best to ruin every bit of race relation that we
yeah,
spent the last 20, 30 years building. They're
yeah,
knocking us back to the 70s, mate. They really are in this.
yeah,
And they're gonna awaken a racist rhetoric back as a consequence. I can't see it going any other way because people
yeah,
will not take this for too long.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, a clear message from me is to obviously the West Indian community, African community, and everything like that. Don't dishearten yourselves. Keep positive, whether you're single parents or in good relationships, etc. And so, keep your family unit together. Keep positive. Yeah. Don't let the negatives influence your children. Yeah. There is opportunities here. Yeah. And it's all about moving forward. Do you know what I mean? Getting themselves a good education. You know what I mean? I would say, people kind of I know within the West Midlands itself, the West Midlands Police Force are calling out to, obviously they call it the BAME, don't they? BAME members, the ethnics out there, yeah, and they just can't get enough. They're saying, you know what I mean? They've quite admitted to it that people ain't applying for these positions. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say to the kids out there, yeah, to make impact on society, yeah, get yourselves in there. Do you know what I mean? Some people have got, as soon as they see uniform, it's like, oh God, it's uniform. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously the attitude starts, the complexes within themselves. Yeah. I would like people progressing forward, you know, making an impact within, obviously creating a bigger percentage within the police force itself. You know what I mean? Which will have a positive impact, I believe. That's how I feel about it. But keep yourselves positive. Do you know what I mean? Don't go down this negative, obviously, route within itself and so on. I mean, it was good to find out. A couple of weeks, I found out that obviously they've got the first in regarding America itself. They've got the first African American female pilot. Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? It's the first one, and people might think to themselves, "Oh, the first one," but you know what? She's already broke a barrier down, and I admire that for
Sure.
it. You know what I mean? And this is what
Neighbour
it's about.
to- Yeah, no, it's right. It is right. You
You
can
know?
see that'll open the gates now for anyone. I mean,
Yeah,
anyone can be what they want to be, Knack, you know, and
yeah,
that's the bottom line. We don't have to keep saying the first female this, the first female. How many black females actually go in for a pilot license? How many black females actually give a shit about flying a plane? So
yeah,
it's almost by saying the first black female, and I know I'm not knocking you for that because, you know, it is what it is, but it's almost the implication that every black female has tried to fly a plane, but this is the first woman that's been given the license. Bullshit. She's probably one of a handful of people that really could be asked actually going through with
yeah,
it. You know,
yeah,
so it's like what we've said before about, you know, these quotas they have for certain jobs. Oh, there's not enough black people in this. Oh, there's not enough black. Maybe black people don't want to do it. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
And
There's not enough.
this is the thing is, I've got to admit, you know, what I mean, at the age I am now and everything like that. You know what? I know where I went wrong in life, and I can admit where I went in wrong in life. You know what? If I kind of
Yeah,
took that fork instead of that fork, I would have been in this position. But you
exactly.
know what? I accept it. I accept that. Do you know what I
Knack,
mean?
you know the beautiful thing about that is not colour of skin. That is just the sheer character. That is most people, if they own and be honest with themselves, will go,
Yeah,
I've made a few mistakes. If I would have done this, maybe that would have happened. Maybe that, you know what I mean? Everyone, most people who are watching this will probably go, well, my life could have been a lot better if I would have done this, if I maybe
yeah,
wouldn't have married them, or if I did marry it. We don't want to go down that route, but the bottom line is we're all one and the same because of it.
yeah.
That's
Right.
what makes it so beautiful. It's just a journey, isn't it?
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? And to be honest with you, I still feel I'm blessed. Do you know what I mean? So this is what it's about. But people can't even accept that, can't they? People can't accept that they did, themselves did go wrong along the way. You know what I mean? That's another thing within itself. And you know, I do kind of feel that people keep pulling this card out. Do you know what I mean? And say that's racism. That's racism. This is what we're kind of dealing with at this moment in time. You know what I mean? I've never kind of really done that. Do you know what I mean? Unless I've kind of challenged people and said to them that no, I ain't having that. Do you know what I mean? That because that's clearly racism. Do you know what I mean? But I just feel like in the way obviously society is kind of changing, that people kind of feel to themselves that they've got so many cards in front of them, and that's the card they're going to play to,
Yeah.
you know, persevere with something or something like that.
The
Yeah.
victim card, mate. That's all it is. I could play the victim card. Everyone could play a victim card, but you know what? I ain't. I'm only here for a short amount of time, and I'm not going to be here as a victim thinking that the world is against me because that
Well,
would be crap. You know?
well, exactly. And the thing is, like, we know. I've been in situations, and I think to myself, you know, what, I can't be bothered with this. So what do? Don't go there again. End of shit bus. It happens,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
definitely.
But then
No,
obviously
yeah,
keep a positive circle around you. You know what I mean? And the positive circle with me is this. Yeah, I will not stick to one community. Yeah, I've got a pretty uh, varied circle of friends. You know
mhm.
what I mean? And that's how I feel comfortable. You know what I mean? And I suppose you're the same as well. You're the same as me. You know what I
People are
mean?
people, mate. I don't have preferences. I go off
Yeah.
feelings and basic spirit within people. Don't have a colour that
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
I
There's
think
good and bad everywhere.
I think the good souls, you know what I mean? You
So
know what I mean? There's good souls, bad souls. Work it out for yourselves, but don't go around saying, you know, everyone's against us. Do you know what I mean? And this is the path what we've got to take. You know what I mean?
yeah,
There's only one path here that this is the path we're going to take, and it's all about us and our people. Nah, I can't support something like that. I'll support the injustices and everything like that, but as soon as someone will state it's just about us, do you know what I mean? Then it's like, nah, can't help you there. You know what I mean? Because
excellent.
you ain't moving forward for the better of humanity. You're causing
Oh,
more
that was
divide. Yeah.
without a doubt, mate. We're going to leave it there, but thank you for your wise words, mate. I bid you a fantastic weekend, what is left of it, and I will be in touch as opposed to getting Mark together with the rest of the A team to keep this going with more talking points.